Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun as always is my brother in podcasting, Reed.
Your name is Richard? I think you're just Richard the Ditchard. Richard the Ditchard, that's pretty good. Richard the Ditchard.
You know-
Richard the Ditchard.
you know the short
Richard
form-
the Ditchard.
You know what the short form for Richard is, right?
What? Damn it.
Let's get into this.
Ghostfacers! We face a ghost, where others will not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We face a nightmare, we face a dread! Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We face a faceless, we face a dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Season 4, Episode number 13,
Dun, dun, dun.
After School Special. And today we are joined by returning guest, Laura Bolt. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited. That last time that we had you on was, God, that episode turned out to be way hotter than I ever expected it to be.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you know, possessed Winchesters of any variety. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
It's a fan favorite.
It is. It's definitely a fan favorite.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
up there,
Oh, yeah, that later Dean.
right?
That came up in her
It
in the
did.
TikTok
That's-
thing.
yeah.
I like that. I did like that you backtrack on that. You were like, no. And then you're like, well.
I do enjoy that, like, we were just talking about it before we started the episode, but we're all in our 30s and on TikTok, and we're like, is this how you do it? Are we young?
Am I cool? Tell me I'm cool.
Is this on fleek?
Oh,
Oh,
God.
God. I don't know.
Obviously, the show isn't still going. But what would you say since the last time you were on? Have you done any kind of like SPN rewatching? Have you been following like the weird drama?
Laura and I've had some chats about some of the shit that's gone on.
Oh, okay.
As somebody on Supernatural TikTok, I mean, it's just constantly on my For You page.
Sure.
So I would say I am more of an observer of the drama,
Right.
Unless
Smart.
something like wild happens, and then you kind of gotta like the prequel was announced, which is
Prequels announced.
How are you feeling about that?
I am cautiously optimistic.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think my biggest concern with the whole thing is that, like, I'm like, I don't know where they can go with it. I guess technically they can be hunting, because it always felt like, I think my instinct was that John started hunting when the show started, or like after their mom died, I assumed. But theoretically, he could have been doing it beforehand.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, both of you know I'm not John and Mary's biggest fan, but I am looking forward to it's been said that Dean is going to be narrating. Jensen has said this.
Okay.
So that's something that could be really cool. And then
It'll be young Sheldon style.
Oh God. Don't say it like that.
How I Met Your Mom Who Died.
Or it'll be, well, no, that wouldn't make sense because it's in the past. I was going to say it would be like Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City. but maybe the real vampires were the
XOXO hunter guy.
yeah. I've got a question.
Spinoff.
I've got a question for you about what I think is the biggest supernatural drama, the biggest sort of controversy is the quote unquote official podcast that seems to be eating our lunch.
Yeah, well, listen, you guys will always be my favorite Supernatural podcast. So.
Good. My fishing is done.
So
Not a
you
big
pay me
one.
now, or no? I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. Shut up!
Oh,
Off
God.
the mic! Off the mic!
Cut this out.
No, I think it's pretty cool that they're doing that, and obviously, I think they're not going to go as in depth as a lot of the fans, just because they're not
Sure.
as like fully lovingly immersed, shall I say? I don't mean that they don't care about the
No,
show,
totally.
but like
They're not mega fans.
for them, it was a job, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that's like that's sort of the weird irony of some of these, like when the people involved in things do the rewatch things. Some of the weird irony is like that they know everything about the bits they did.
Yeah.
But there's like a weird distance.
Often it's like the first
It's
time
cool
they're
to
watching
get,
the show.
like,
Yeah.
those firsthand like perspectives and stuff. But like I've definitely found it like, which was I think it's even just listening to like Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. Anytime like someone from Smallville or something like that is on, I'm like, I go and I listen. I'm like, let's learn a little bit more about Smallville. And then I'm like, oh man, like they don't know anything about Smallville. And then
They're like, remember that time that we negotiated that contract?
It's a job. It's like they were doing it. It's like he doesn't give a shit about like where kryptonite comes from. That's only me. Only I care about that.
Yeah. I think that's why
It's a very different perspective.
Totally.
I think that's always going to be the big differentiator between us and them.
Yeah.
Is
and the horniness.
yeah. Well, yeah. We'll always be the horniest.
Yeah. Mark my words.
I'll make sure of it.
Oh my god.
That's a threat.
All right. Well,
On that note, an
Let's
episode
start-
about children.
yeah. Oh no. So this episode aired January 29th, 2009.
Okay.
We're still in January here. It's
Right.
written by Andrew Dabb.
Oh my god.
and
Oh my god.
Daniel-
You didn't just dab.
He
No.
just stabbed. Yeah.
How am I not going to do that? I tell you. And Daniel Laughlin. I got nothing.
Okay. No, that's
all right. Directed by Adam Kane, which I
Oh.
think like all of these people are new.
I mean, those certainly aren't names that ring bells. If they have been
Yeah.
in the cycle before, I've forgotten them.
Yeah. I think that largely like a lot of these
But yeah, it's none of like your big in rotation.
No, which is interesting. This episode was viewed by an estimated 3.56 million viewers.
Wow, pretty solid.
Yeah, not bad.
Pretty solid.
I made Laura watch it, but I'll put it on for you right now because you
Okay.
haven't. But we have the promo for this, so
Sure.
we can watch it very quickly
yeah,
right
here
now
I'll watch the promo.
because it's super short. Anyways,
Oh come on.
that's the exact line that Laura messaged me and was like, "I seem real evil. That's high school."
I mean, that's as dumb of a line as that like Riverdale one, like the epic highs and lows of high school football. That one, like that's so fucking dumb.
Yeah, Laura, what did you think about that promo?
Well, it's the epitome of high school in the 2000s.
Yes.
But yeah, the like, that's high school. No, what? That was definitely spliced together for that promo, right? Like he
This
didn't
is-
say that.
No, exactly. And this is classic CW marketing department.
Yes.
Where this episode has so much like, I mean, ultimately it is very like sad and melancholy, but this episode has so many fun things like Coach Dean and stuff like that. But instead they lean into like high school kids fighting in the bathroom. Like it's like we get it. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's like,
It's-
come on, he's on.
It's a weird thing that the show always does with the marketing department. It's gotten better, especially when the episode lines up with that tone because it prefers
Well, yeah,
to go that
but
tone.
that's not it getting better. That's
No.
just it accidentally being.
But we
correct.
did get a couple fun ones.
Yes, that's true.
But largely, it's definitely like, oh my god.
I know. Well, it's like the clock rolling back.
Yeah.
It's like, so is
get
it
it.
time travel?
Nope.
You know, like,
Remember when you were in high school?
it's yeah.
Click clock, click clock.
All the marketing materials seem to be made by people that like don't even read the synopsis.
Yeah, it's the same people that make podcasts about the show.
What?
Oh,
Wait. What about us?
No, we're the exception.
Okay.
Yeah. So, international titles.
Sure. I hope there were some good ones.
So, this episode had the same name of one of the episodes in season 4 on the show, The Vampire Diaries, actually,
Okay.
which is interesting.
After school special, I guess, is like enough of a phrase.
But
Eventually it gets
fittingly,
used.
the actress who plays Amanda Heckerling in this episode, Candace Acola, is a regular in The Vampire Diaries as Caroline Forbes.
Interesting.
So there's-
Laura, have you watched The Vampire Diaries? I haven't at all.
No.
I'm gonna get shot for this, but I have not. I haven't.
It's the one show. Like I'm part of a lot of the like Facebook supernatural groups and stuff, and it's a lot of the ones where they're like, "Who's the best duo?" And it's always like the two guys from Vampire Diaries.
I only
Sam
know
and
the
Dean.
one actor's name. Is
Really?
that Ian Somerhalder?
Yeah, because he was
Oh.
in Lost.
That's
That's
right.
right,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, absolutely. But
Oh,
yeah, that's
yeah, he was.
it seems like it was the like the next step. It was like when Supernatural was successful, they were like, oh, let's make more Supernaturals, and they kind of lost what made Supernatural special. They're like, it's hot guys, hot show, right? And it was like, well, no, it's more than that.
Yeah, again, no one actually was watching Supernatural to like pull the right lessons or
no.
messaging from it.
They basically
Right.
took the peripheral view and were like, I figure I know what this show's about.
Yeah.
But what are some of the international titles? So After School Special, we've got 2 this week that are some alternative titles from different places around the world. So
Okay.
the German title is
Children are evils. They always have been.
and someone must do something about it.
Oh no.
Oh, Germany, no.
Is round up the children.
Oh no.
Yikes.
School time roundup. I don't understand. It is called School Time.
Oh, school time?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
It's School Time. It's very simple.
Fair enough. All right.
But we've got one more, which is the Hungarian title.
Oh god, these ones are usually good. Hungary.
They really like
I-
stretch their muscles in weird ways.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be like Bully from Beyond the Grave, or
It's
like something
so
like
much
that.
cuter than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cuter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Hungarian title is Extra Credit Project.
Aw.
It's so cute.
And the extra credit is killing something.
Yeah. You get an extra credit if you get a kid to kill themselves.
I took a gap year from life.
Oh God.
So the extra credit project, it's so like innocent sounding.
Insane.
Ugh.
I love it. Featured music from this episode is Long, Long Way From Home by Foreigner.
Yeah,
It kicks in so well, too. I love
Perfect.
what a great intro.
I've said it before, but I feel obligated every time Foreigner comes up to mention that I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner is my parents' like wedding song.
That I love that. That's
was-
amazing.
It was like number 1 in 1984. And they were like, that's when we're getting married. Pick it. That's it.
Meanwhile, my parents' is patio lanterns.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Kim Mitchell.
Yeah.
Very Canadian.
Yeah. Very funny. TV Guide describes this episode as Sam and Dean investigate a series of murders at their old high school. The probe leads the two to recall how Sam was the target of a bully at school, while Dean was the big man on campus.
Or was he?
Sure.
I mean, that's the episode. Yeah.
I think we're done here.
Yeah. Love it so much. I am so excited to find out what this next segment is, because before we get into today's episode, let's open up Dad's journal and learn about some of the real world lore.
Yeah, let's see what the lore says about bullying.
Oh no. Oh no.
No.
That's going to take some dark turns.
When I was 10,
Yeah. You pull it like a crumpled piece of paper. You're like,
no, let's see what the lore says about ectoplasm.
ectoplasm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because the black stuff in the episode.
Ectoplasm.
Sure.
That's
You-
right.
So, Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines ectoplasm as the outer, relatively rigid, granule-free layer of the cytoplasm, usually held to be a gel, reversibly convertible to a sol.
Sorry, I thought this was like I thought this was like a graduation speech.
I always just like look up where the word comes from, but that was like the first Google result, and I couldn't resist. I was like, I'm starting like a bad wedding speech. I'm doing it. Yeah, it more commonly refers to like an occult substance, usually associated with spirits, ghosts,
Sure,
things like
yeah.
that. So it's sometimes described as the exteriorized form of spiritual energy. So it's said to be formed by like physical mediums when they're in a trance state. It's excreted out of Well, the thing I said excreted out of orifices. I'm assuming that,
Vivid. That's vivid.
I'm
Yep.
assuming that means eyes, nose, ears, but
Yeah, who knows?
you know, um,
Ghost stuff could come from anywhere.
you know, ectospasms. More like. So ectoplasm is described as being viscous and is usually clear or light colored, but it can get darker and more visible as the strength of the spiritual energy increases. And in some extreme cases, ectoplasm also produces a strong odor.
But if the
Ew.
ghost eats a lot of pineapple,
Oh God. Oh my God.
Yeah, but then he has to replenish his ectolytes.
yeah, yeah, he can only produce ectoplasm once per day.
Yeah.
He needs. There's a refractory period.
Jesus Christ. It's also been described as appearing like threads, like plastic, like paste, like fabric, or like a membrane.
Like fabric?
Yeah. Like
I thought that ghost needs to see a doctor.
no, I mean, like honestly, most cases of ectoplasm are described that way.
What?
The Ghostbusters
wasn't it, like,
thing
in
is
the-
different.
In the old like spirit photography too, that's kind of how it would appear.
Yeah, and you know all the fraudulent spirit photography, they'd be using like cheesecloth or muslin or stuff like that
Actual
to make
fabric.
it. Yeah, they'd be using actual fabric for it.
I love to wrap my sandwiches in ectoplasm.
You're having too much fun with this word.
It's great.
So it's said to ectoplasm is said to be the source of things like levitation or things moving when you're doing like a seance. So it's because it starts clear, it's building up from the medium as they're communicating with the spirit realm. And so the idea is that if something's levitating, there is like an entire pile of ectoplasm under it. That's like what's lifting
That's
it
gross
up.
for some reason. I don't know why.
It
Yeah.
is, right?
The ghost is just like, ugh!
So this so this is tied to the idea of what they called like an ectenic force, which is like this guy, his name was Count Agenor de Gasparin, tried to explain like psychokinetic events happening during seances, and saying that like the people that are capable of psychokinesis are also capable of producing this substance. And if the lights are on or if you touch it, it disappears is the other important part of that. So it's like it has to be dark and no, you can't touch it.
That's convenient.
right.
Yep.
So that's where that comes from.
No, don't look at me. I'm trying to ectoplasm.
The lights have to be off.
Yeah. You can't touch. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Jesus.
It's too sensitive.
Other researchers claimed that ectoplasm is like a psychokinetic fluid inside of people. So theoretically, that everyone has some amount of it inside them, but the people that are most attuned to the spirit realm capable of producing more. That it's part of like how your body can commune with spirits.
So like midichlorians.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. If it is midichlorians. That's exactly what it is. Oh God, that's so depressing.
Never seen so much ectoplasm.
If you ever find someone with a ton of ectoplasm, make sure you gamble on their life.
Yeah.
So it apparently can only form in darkness or relative darkness. Light disrupts and disintegrates it. Many photographs of ectoplasm have been deemed to be fraudulent, and they were made of muslin or cheesecloth, or some mediums. Like when they were trying to prove it in person, they would like swallow cheesecloth and then like gag it up again, like and be like, "It's ectoplasm."
Now swallow
Really
it.
committing to the bit.
Very committing.
Yeah.
But in popular culture, ectoplasm is usually seen as more like liquid or slimy, like in Ghostbusters or like in Supernatural or things like that. And it's a substance that is formed by spirits, not by people communing with spirits.
Why are ghosts keep wearing all your socks?
Yeah, I mean, like ectoplasm hardens after a while.
Ew.
I'm so sorry, Laura.
Get my ectoplasm rag.
Yeah. You seen the cups they try to get ectoplasm in? They're way too big. No one can produce that much ectoplasm.
I made a serious mistake.
What did you think was going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know what I thought was going to happen.
Ectoplasm. All right. Well, with that, let's ecto to this episode.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was cheesecloth.
It was. I was saving it for a friend. All right, let's get into this episode. This episode begins with our then, which is something we haven't seen in a long time. We're getting a bunch of flashes of the first episode of the show.
Yeah, we're getting some of that, and we're getting some other like young Sam and Dean, like the Christmas.
Anytime
one,
we've ever
where they're
gotten
in the
those
motel
flashbacks,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. We're getting lots of. Dad would be here if he could.
Laura, what do you think about the different actors that we've seen now who play young Sam and Dean?
I'm glad you asked. I literally took notes on this because I love who they have chosen over the years for young Sam and Dean. And I think this particular episode, it's the first time we see Sam and Dean as teenagers and not little kids, right?
Mhm.
And that's where you can really, I mean, not to say young children can't act, but the older a child is, the better they're going to be able to act.
Yeah.
And Colin Ford and Brock Kelly, I think, are just incredible together in this episode. Their chemistry is great. They're both so spot on for the characters. My favorite young Dean is, what was his name? Dylan Everett, I think. He's in one of the later episodes, but Brock Kelly's a very, very close second.
Yeah.
And he looks so much like Jensen, and Colin Ford looks so much like Jared. It's insane. Like the casting team was just
So this
so
is
spot on.
this is the same young Sam
I think
as
so.
that Christmas episode.
Yeah.
But Dean has hit puberty
Right.
since. So Dean is
And
like
Sam has not.
an
No.
older.
I mean, it's a funny joke in this thing where they make fun of Sam for being small,
Yeah.
which I love.
being
That's
short.
yeah,
you know, little moose.
yeah. It's fair, baby moose. Oh, is that a calf? It's still a calf, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this episode goes into the now, which is
Can I just say the first line in this episode is slut?
Yeah, not
Yeah.
great.
The first line and then like the subsequent like 17 lines of dialogue are slut.
This is an interesting version of high school because we're Canadian and I don't think we ever really had this kind of high school. Like I didn't have cheerleaders in my high school. Like
I'm going to throw something out there that is going to be super uninformed, but just based on my own perspective from high school, which is this group of people that are calling this one girl a slut.
Yes.
And are being mean bullies or whatever.
Yeah.
The mean bullying thing seems to align with like the cool kid,
Yeah.
jock, cheerleader thing.
yeah.
But also, like, I was like, what are they making fun of her for?
This is
Because
also a thing.
Aren't the jocks and the cheerleaders hooking up?
This is the thing that with okay, Laura, please go.
Okay, so I would say this is actually pretty accurate, like a little bit dramatized, but pretty accurate to my
Ugh.
personal high school experience,
Jesus.
Crazy.
which is unfortunate. America is not great, but you know, here we are.
Canada might be like that too, but I was definitely sitting at the table with Sam and his weird friends.
I mean, me too, yeah.
So-
Yeah. Well, no, anyway, so this may shock you, but I was not a cool kid in high school.
A theater
And,
nerd? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, go figure, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think it was unfortunately pretty spot on. Like
Sure.
I had that interaction at the table with like the cool girl and like the not so cool girl. I was very much the not so cool girl in that situation.
Yeah,
And then you
but
killed
no,
the girl, the popular girl.
The only thing that I would say is like a little off is like how catty they were, like the extent of it. I was like, this episode was written by men.
Right.
Totally.
But overall, I was
Right.
like, no, yeah, that's a pretty accurate representation of 2000s high school in America.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Ugh.
It just really, I was like, man, this is aggressive.
That's the thing
I
that
mean, I know high school sucks. Like,
it is.
It wasn't like I thought it was unbelievable, but I think I was just like, this is very like heightened.
The
But
weird
it's not.
the weird
That
high
sucks.
school purity thing I never really understood because it was like everyone is going through puberty and wants to have sex.
Everyone is trying to constantly.
Yeah. But it's like the person who does is suddenly then chastised
Yeah.
for that thing.
And
Yeah.
I
I'm like,
definitely know that happened even in my high school, but it
If
was
I may.
but it also
Please.
felt like it was the people that were like not the most popular people that were like, like that, like the cool chick, she slept with a bunch of people. Like we were the ones being shitty
Yeah.
because we weren't doing it. You know what I mean?
Sorry, what were you saying, Laura?
Yeah, no, it's fine. If I may, as a woman,
Please.
you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right?
Yeah.
If you have too much sex or it's too well known that you have, then you're a slut. But if you don't have sex at all, you're a prude. Like you can't win. So
Totally.
No, I think so. Just do whatever the hell you want.
That seems clear because even in this episode, I get the sense that this person that they're calling a slut kind of was one of the cool
Yeah, that's
girls, right? Because
Like.
then it's like out of nowhere, she's got to go sit at the not cool table.
But then
It's
immediately, just like
she like has lost that status.
intergenerational trauma, immediately bullies then the next
Yeah.
uncool person that she could find.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. And that
it's
poor
messed up.
girl is so nice and is just like trying to be nice to the jerk. And
Yeah, I mean, she like this person who is obviously hurting because they're being bullied themselves has like the nuclear response of calling them like a fat pig or something.
yeah,
seriously.
Wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I
like,
don't know that any of this I was like, wow, bad writing, but I was definitely like, this is aggressive.
unnecessary. Yeah.
It felt unnecessary, but again, maybe it's not. Maybe that's kind of like it's more being said out loud than would actually be said out loud, but it's like authentic to the feeling or experience of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I went to high school in New Jersey, and we are not nice people. So I don't know. It seemed to have fit in like.
Did you call
New
it Taylor
Jersey.
Ham? I'll fucking kill you.
Jesus.
No. It is Taylor Ham. It's not Porkroll.
Oh, sorry.
You
I
heard-
never
you heard
know
it here
which
first.
one. Okay. All right. It's good to know.
All of New Jersey is going to come for you now.
Well, no, it depends on what part of New
It depends
Jersey
on
you're
where.
talking. Yeah.
What
Oh, my God.
faction? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I know my Jersey.
Do you?
That's kind of
The Turnpike.
that's the one thing I
Go
know.
Devils. That's all I got.
You got the spirit. There you go.
Yeah. We got a Jersey spirit. But it is definitely interesting because I remember when I was in high school, it was the popular kids were actually the ones who like did really well in school.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a kind of combination, but yes, the popular kids tended to be on the higher end of the academic.
The like
thing,
21
too.
Jump Street, that when they did that reboot 21 Jump Street movie, that was probably the first time that I felt like it was a representation of the high school that I went to.
Yeah.
Which was like the like cool kids were the ones who like did really well in school, and they also were the ones who like did drugs and had sex.
Yes, it was all of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Weird.
Like, Laura's looking at us with confusion.
Is this episode going to be all of
Can't
us
relate.
reliving our high school bullying?
Yeah,
Our
the
trauma.
trauma. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So in the bathroom, basically the next day, those two same girls, the popular girl and the one that the sort of unpopular girl that she had made fun of, that suddenly that unpopular girl ends up like beating to shit this popular girl and like
yeah, she's like, you called me fat or whatever. She like smashes her face into the mirror.
And then
She's like,
drowns her.
It's like the beginning of Casino Royale. She's like,
I'm honestly impressed that they chose Death by Swirly.
It's true.
I have a question about this, and I couldn't tell if I like was watching. I like
Sure.
messed up watching. But while she's
Drowning her.
drowning her and she does the swirly, isn't that the move you do if you're being drowned because it evacuates the water? Because it seemed like it didn't help.
I mean, it might have been a little late at that point, but
Oh, okay. Because it seemed like it was the person doing the drowning hit the thing, and then like the water went up. But like, wouldn't that be the thing that would evacuate the water? Like if you were being drowned, you should
it
try
would
to flush it.
refill it. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's a very good question.
I think about drowning in a toilet a lot.
Like as like an aspirational thing, or but then we see the bullied girl. Black liquid runs from her eyes.
Yeah.
and that's the cold open, baby.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Wow. That's God. I love a really like brutal like death in the beginning of a Supernatural episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think bathroom violence always feels worse because
Ceramic and metal everywhere.
it's like the textures of the materials and stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's porcelain and metal, tile. It's not like, oh, there's a carpet or a rug.
No.
Or like there's nothing
Yeah,
like
and it's
soft.
a secluded space too. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely ate some lunches in the bathroom in high school.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
In the bathroom?
Yeah, because then nobody could be mean to you.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, that just makes me think of Mean Girls when Katie goes into the stall with her little tray on her lap.
It was a great
yeah.
technique. It worked. We're great.
No.
Everybody was really mean.
Richard.
So, cold open over. Sam and Dean catch wind of this whole thing when the bullied girl, who is inside of an insane asylum now, claims that she was possessed at the time.
We get another look at like orderly Sam, and I kind of like the look of orderly Sam.
Yeah, he could pin me down.
Easy.
I have feelings. I always will about Sam.
Please.
No, he's just so, and they're not like those kinds of feelings right now. Like he's just so.
Yeah.
Right now, I said, hang on, there's more.
Yeah, it'll come.
No. He's just so like sweet about the whole
yes.
thing because like that like well, I mean, we don't know yet, but like you get the feeling that he was bullied too, and like he just. The amount of empathy this man shows to all of these victims all the time. I have such a soft spot for Sam, and it's really apparent here in this scene.
Yeah, he's got real bully me personality, Sam.
But it's so much of the like, I already told this, nobody believes me. He's like, I'll believe you, and then you go like, fine, I'll tell this fucking
and he gives
thing
the puppy
again.
dog eyes, and he's just, I love him.
Yeah.
So she said she's neither saw any black smoke because he starts asking her questions like did you smell anything?
Because she says that she was like riding shotgun basically while it was happening. And, but yeah, he's like, did you smell sulfur? Did you see black smoke? She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Like, I know I'm in the insane asylum, but you sound crazy.
Yeah.
Sam still does a better job of it than Dean does later. Dean is so bad at like being surreptitious about asking for
was it a ghost? It's like, what? Like, she all the stuff that's typical of a demonic possession, none of it was there. So Sam talks to Dean, who's basically fully skeptical of this whole job, but they decide to go anyways. But he's just like, why are you so eager to like go back to high school? Like, why? Like, we were only there for a few months. Like, who even gives a shit, right? But it's
Truman High School.
Yeah, but it's so Dean's like, how are we even going to fit in there? And Dean suggests to Sam that maybe they pose as Swedish exchange students. He's actually making a tongue-in-cheek reference to the brother and sister super duo, the Wonder Twins, who were like Swedish exchange students and things. So that's funny. But as it happens, the Winchesters were enrolled at Truman High, home of the Bombers, for a month in 1997, and Dean is not in a hurry to go back. Here's an interesting thing about that name. So it's the Truman High. Harry S. Truman was the USA president during World War II. It was his decision to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan in hopes to finally getting the Japanese military to stop fighting.
Yeah.
So they're just like,
famously a man who did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Home of the Bombers.
Oh, the Bombers.
Go Bombers.
No. I didn't put that together at all.
Yikes.
Pretty dark.
America.
I know.
I mean...
It happened. And America to be proud of something so dark, that doesn't sound like America at all. So the exterior of Sam and Dean's old high school is the same exterior used to shoot the pilot episode of the Vampire Diaries 2009. Another connection to the Vampire Diaries. But the school is also the same one used for Smallville High School in the TV show Smallville.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it looks super familiar when they like head up to it. I was like, I know this high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the same one from all of those. And then we get the series of flashbacks of Sam and Dean coming to yet another high school.
Yeah, my daughter is not of the age where I have to enroll her in real school yet, but I got to imagine it's not easy to enroll your kids in different schools multiple times through the year. Like, John doesn't strike me as a paperwork man. So like, even let it aside the fact that they're constantly switching schools, how that affects their socialization and their education. But like, how is John getting away with this?
I have this heartbreaking headcanon.
Okay.
Again, this did not happen in the episode. This is a heartbreaking headcanon that Sam was the one who learned how to forge all this stuff by forging his school documents.
That sounds absolutely right.
Right?
Yeah, that's 100% it. Yeah,
Oh, that hurts my heart.
yeah.
And like that's
Yeah.
how he got so good at forging everything else.
Oh yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
It's very sad because we see like here's like your new student Sam Winchester. Do you want to tell anything about yourself? And he's like, no.
No.
And then it's like, here's your new student Dean Winchester, and he's like, thanks, sweetheart.
Yeah. He does everything but like slap her ass.
I mean,
like
truly, it's like, who's a guy gotta fuck to get a drink around here?
yeah, number 2 pencil, if you know what I mean.
Listen, I love Dean, but he's like problematic in this episode.
There's a lot of dirtbag Dean in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Truman, we find out, is the 3rd high school that they've been into since the beginning of the year, which
and
like,
it's November.
yeah, so it's been like 3 months. Like
yeah.
basically every month they're in a new high school.
Yeah.
But Dean isn't worried about fitting in.
You know what? Yeah, fuck John Winchester.
Yeah, fuck John Winchester. Tell him.
And there's a lot of that in this episode because we get even more into it in a minute. But
What a piece of shit.
yeah. Dean isn't worried about fitting in or impressing teachers since their father has promised that they'll only be there for 2 weeks tops.
I mean, he definitely isn't. I'm pretty sure at one point he calls the teacher Toots.
yeah. I was like, are you like
Literally.
1940s like police officer or something? Like,
Yeah, it's funny too, like him wearing the big jacket and stuff like that, because he's like, high school Dean is undeniably like confident and kind of cool.
yeah.
But as happens in this episode, he's also like that. He's like the kind of cool where you're like, I actually feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and they mentioned that later, and like
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But it's all that like false bravado on the outside. That's
Yeah.
just it's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. There were some kids who were very mean to me that I found out had very dark childhoods.
Well, yeah. That's exactly.
It's a totally real thing. But Sam is super tired of being the new kid at this point. On his first day of English class, Sam defends this kid, Barry Cook, from being bullied by the kid who's sitting behind him, Dirk McGregor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Great bully name.
Great. Yeah, it is. It is a very good bully.
Incredible bully name.
Kanan Weeb, Barry, plays a bully in Supernatural episode Wishful Thinking that it'll be in 2000 from 2008.
Oh.
Yeah. And the victim of the bully in this episode. The actor also has a small role in the episode Supernatural Faith from 2006.
Oh, interesting.
So he's been a returning cast member a few times here. While the teacher, Mr. Wyatt, assigns the class an essay on their most memorable family experience. You'll see in the classroom where Sam is at, the words "The Outsiders" is written on the chalkboard, which is actually a coming of age book and a movie about different classes of young people and the confrontations they get into, much like this episode.
And this English teacher is cool as hell.
oh my God, yeah, I would have the
He's
hots
great.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Johnson's my dad's name.
Yeah. Hey, let me bum one of those smokes, but you guys better not do it anymore.
Yeah.
Real.
Do you know who else didn't like capitalization? E.E. Cummings.
Yeah. Let me rap with you kids about a little man I know named William Shakespeare.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He definitely has like cool youth pastor energy. Yeah.
Totally. Dean, meanwhile, only has eyes for a hot blonde Amanda Heckling.
Yeah.
Amanda Heckling is a
Yeah, she's like, I love how you called the teacher sweetheart.
yeah, call me that.
It's like, all right.
I've got low enough self-esteem that I'll be into this. Amy Heckerling is a well-known Hollywood director known for teen movies such as Fast Times at Ridgemont High from 1982 and Clueless from 1995.
Oh, that's a fun little.
So it's a fun
Very
little,
cool.
yeah, nice little nod there.
I like that.
Brock Kelly, who obviously plays Dean here, had not watched Supernatural prior to getting the part of young Dean Winchester, but to prepare for the role, he watched the pilot episode and Supernatural, A Very Supernatural Christmas from 2007 several dozen times.
Right.
So really like to nail both
Yeah.
what is canonically the young version of him
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
older version, and sort of like found his way in between.
I mean, he does a great job. He's incredible.
Let's give him credit here. Like he perfectly feels like the like shitty young teen version of Dean.
He's getting all of the Dean like notes right, which is like the, like Laura was saying, the like bravado exterior, the like kind of deep sadness, the caring about Sam. Like he's like actually a nice kid
Yeah.
all of those pieces are in there really well. And then someone who's like self-destructive and like doesn't recognize a good thing happening to him.
Well, and
like,
playing the
100%.
yeah.
and playing the part of a guy who's like cool and tough, right?
Yes,
Which
yeah.
is classic Dean, right?
Yeah.
In the present, Sam poses as a janitor, while Dean, in an outfit of gym shorts, tall socks, and red headband, lords over the gym class that has never been allowed to play dodgeball before.
It's so funny.
I
In my notes,
Yes.
in all caps, bolded with 5 exclamation points, I have the word shorts.
incredible.
I love Coach Dean.
I mean, there's like a pop figure even for it. Like
Is there really?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's amazing.
As a man who collects those, you
Yeah,
you
that's
need to get
amazing.
yourself one.
I love Coach Dean. I love how he's talking about dodgeball like he's delivering the final speech from Braveheart. I love when Sam comes in and Dean is like, the whistle makes me their
Makes me-
god.
Yeah.
So funny. So
Oh, it's so good.
a fun piece of background about this outfit: Jensen Ackles had quite a hand in Dean's gym teacher costume. He says he based it off of a gym teacher from his own high school and described the bright red shorts to the costume department. When they came, the costume department had then altered the shorts to make them even tighter. The red
God.
shorts has become a common Dean trope used by fans of the show.
I mean, Jensen
Iconic.
had a hand in it. I would love to have a hand in that costume.
I'd like to make those shorts tighter.
Not in a sexy way at all, but I had a teacher who wore like short shorts and always did like the put one leg up.
I did
thing,
too.
and it was
Oh,
always
God.
kind of like, is today the day? Like,
I had a gym teacher, Mr. Brown, who had blue shorts but were super tight like that,
Yeah.
and long socks, and he wore a polo shirt. But then he also was the one who taught us sex ed.
okay, yeah. Well, a gym teacher would.
It's such a weird thing though, because it's always like these like weird like sports like football
Yeah,
coach
you're
guys.
Why
the
is that
most-
a thing?
yeah,
I don't
the
get
most
that.
emotionally cut. You should get your music teacher to teach sex ed or something.
All right, now we're going into the
Yeah,
human
jazz.
body.
Yeah, my teacher was Mr. Houghton, and the thing I remember about him is that he was the one that would always mark. This was in elementary school. He would always mark out the lines for track and field day and stuff, but he refused to use actual units of measurement. He was like, my stride is a meter, and he would just like randomly like walk and then make a mark. So like your 100-meter dash could be like easily like 130 meters.
Oh my god, that's really funny.
The unabashed confidence of gym teachers, like in the whole world, they just
Oh, yeah.
all have it. Why is that? I love that.
I don't get it because they're usually probably like, well, I don't know. In America, maybe it might be different because sometimes they're sports coaches too, so that could potentially change it. But like canonically, like the least paid if they're not. Like,
I had a high school gym teacher with maybe the greatest mullet I've ever seen. It was
Ooh.
Mr. Renfrew. But I'm willing to bet that he had no other skills to bear.
yeah, yeah. My gym teacher, I'm certain, delivered pizzas on the weekend.
Which is a fine profession.
But it's interesting with the amount of bravado that they come for.
Yes.
Dean's alias as temp teacher is Coach Roth, a nod to David Lee Roth, the singer of the band Van Halen.
Of course.
Just Jensen's persona in this episode as the gym coach is also similar to his character in Smallville, Jason Teague,
And same like colors too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
which I think is really funny. Also in this gym, there's a big red sign for the Indiana High School Football League. No such thing. State football championships are run by the Indiana High School Athletic Association. And the gym teacher that Dean is substituting for is said to be in Massachusetts getting married by Dean. Unfortunately, based on that information and the fact that they say she is getting married, they're probably implying that she's getting married to another woman, since at the time this episode aired, Massachusetts was the one of one of the few states where gay marriage was legal.
So that's why she wouldn't be in Indiana.
Yeah, and here's
That's an unfortunate stereotype.
yeah. I like the
right,
idea
gay
of
gym teacher.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing, the trope that I'm like, why, like. of all, it couldn't have been anybody else. Yeah, I just was like, I like the idea of
I will say,
gay gym
for
teacher,
all of
but
the
come
things
on.
this episode gets right, this episode, more than any we've watched in a long time, falls into a lot of season 1 supernatural traps that way.
Yeah, I think it's a high school
Yeah.
thing. Maybe it's easy
Maybe
to
it's-
fall into tropes and stuff.
Yeah, it could be that, yeah.
But Sam can't find any sulfur on the school grounds, leading them to wonder if there really is a case here at all.
Yeah.
Not long after, a student in a home economics class jams the hand of a homework copying jock into a running food processor.
Isn't it the jock from the first scene, like that was sitting
Yeah.
with the cheerleader that was
Yeah.
leading the slut chant?
Yeah, that's a hard part to watch. Jesus.
It's messed up.
Yeah. It was like well done though. I was like, oh, that's awful. I love it. Let me see more. You know?
yeah. Because there's a shot too, like they put the hand in, and then there's a shot of like the shadow of like the
Ugh.
nubs of the hand, like
Oh god.
from the outside
Yeah.
of the thing.
Ugh, yeah, it's a hard thing to watch.
I mean, kudos to the teacher, that home ec teacher. Remarkable composure. She just pushes the kid away, gets the other kid out of there. But like that's
Like some dark stuff. She's like, not again. It's third time this year, and it's only November.
oh god.
But the kid who does it appears to have no knowledge of what had happened. Sam hurries to the
Okay,
scene.
this I found interesting.
Yeah.
Because when we meet the first girl,
she
that
was
fucking
conscious.
James Bonded the other girl in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
Yeah.
She's like, I saw it all happening, but I wasn't in control, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And then this kid right away is like, what happened? So then I don't know if that's like a logical inconsistency of the show, or if it's that
The
like,
ghost is getting better.
or it's like he's
Yeah.
disoriented and it's going to take him some time to
Yeah.
remember it. Or I just think the episode goes out of its way to be like, this is a detail, and then like immediately like drops it.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of is maybe the ghost is getting better.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
don't know. But Sam hurries to the scene and arrives in time to see ectoplasm leaking out of the ear of the attacker.
Yeah.
Sam realizes they're dealing with ghost possession, which is rare but not unheard of.
Right.
The only violent death on the school grounds was in 1998, which was a suicide, that of Barry Cook.
Oh,
Yeah.
Barry.
I know. Dean postulates that the ghost is possessing nerds and going after bullies.
Yeah.
Sam remembers what a hard time the other students gave Barry.
Yeah.
We cut to a flashback of Dean making out with Amanda in the janitor's closet. All right, being a cool guy.
God, he's cool as
Yeah.
hell with that jacket that doesn't fit him.
So funny. She remarks on John's bad parenting in this.
I know. It's like,
Yep. Yep.
'cause
Good.
she's just like, yeah,
she's
I
like,
can't come out
I
tonight.
have a curfew. When's your curfew? He's like, I don't have one. He's like, yeah,
She's like,
I live in a
"Yikes,
motel.
that's-
And she's like, oh, that's cool, I guess.
No, I like that they really took an anti-John stance in this episode. I mean, I will always be anti-John, but like particularly in this episode, they really shined a light on like, yeah, this is child abuse. Straight up.
Yeah. I do remember like there was like a kid in my
Because it also feels like, I mean, this can't be the first time Dean has thought about it, but he has clearly deluded himself. And this scene is really like a moment where Dean is like, oh, wait, all the things that are cool about me are actually the saddest things ever. It's
Oh,
like,
buddy.
no
Yeah.
one tells me what to do. I can do whatever I
I get to
want.
play with
live
knives.
I live by myself. I have a knife. And then he thinks
Oh.
about it. He's like, oh, wait a minute. That's not good.
Yeah. Oh, when you said knife though, that just made me like when Sam brings his butterfly knife, when Dean like checks to make sure that Sam has his butterfly knife to bring to school. It's like, you got your butterfly knife? Okay.
It's
have
like-
a good day at school.
It's like weirdly parental.
Like,
yeah.
ah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
it's
they're so
it's
messed up.
it's a very interesting part because like yeah, the
It's
girls
kind of nice because Dean is like, that's Dean's way of being like, do you have your lunch?
Yeah.
It's like, you got your
Yeah.
knife? This is normal how we grow up. And then
Oh, God.
they kind of have to, like, Sam already knows, but Dean kind of has to, like, constantly be
Yeah.
convinced that it's not normal.
we then cut to Sam and Barry walking through the hall when Dirk stops them.
Gurk,
Yeah, Kirk.
the pickle man.
who stops them in the middle of this crowded hallway. And Dirk tries to start a fight with Sam, who won't throw punches before Mr. Wyatt intervenes.
Yeah.
He basically gets, like, Dirk gets one punch at Sam.
Yeah, and Mr. Wyatt's like, hey, T.S. Eliot wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, why don't we rap about this after class? Somehow he's got a chair that goes backwards in the middle of the hall.
Whoa, looks like Paradise Lost. Am I right? Hey.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Oh my God. All right.
I could have been a cool English teacher.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah. That's so we go back to the modern day.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Dean that night go to salt and burn Barry's bones.
Yeah, and Sam's all sad about it because he's like, man, like I knew this kid and I knew how rough he had it.
If I had stayed,
I had stayed longer, maybe I could have helped him. He just killed himself in the school. Like, Jesus.
And they're like, well, clearly he must be the ghost, right? Like,
yeah, tracks.
Sam feels guilty, and Dean tries to point out that there was nothing that they could have done. Like, they had to go.
Right.
There's no way he would have known.
Yeah.
Sam remembers wanting to be normal, as well as a conversation specifically with Mr. Wyatt, the cool English teacher. Mr. Wyatt questions the horror story at the center of Sam's essay about his family, in which he chronicles the Winchesters hunting a werewolf, but praises his writing abilities and asks him if he really wants to go into the family business.
Mr. Wyatt here, he basically just stops short of being like, your dad's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because he's like, other than the werewolf thing, is this accurate about your family? Your dad seems driven.
Yeah.
He should have called Child Protective Services, but
Yeah.
If this was a movie about a teacher, the teacher would show up at John's house and like punch him in the like
Literally.
John would have fucking got him.
Yeah, this would be like the part of that kind of movie, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but jokes about cool teacher Mr. Wyatt aside, like I think there's something to be said about, I feel like every kind of outcast, at least in my personal experience, in my friend group, like the like theater kid, the band kid, the like nerd, always had that one English teacher that was like looking out for him. And
it's always
I think
an English
they did
teacher.
that. Always an English teacher or a drama teacher. And they did that so well. And I just want to give like a little shout out to my favorite English teacher, Mr. Servo, because it made me think of him this episode. And I feel like there's so many people that have that English teacher that just like really kind of changed their life in a way. And this was
Ms.
definitely that for
McPherson.
Sam.
Yeah, Ms. McPherson. Yeah.
Mr. O'Neill.
There you go.
Yeah. Hell yeah. For good teachers, few and far between.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank
truly.
you, teachers.
Yeah.
Now let's go back up making fun of Mr. Wyatt. But it's interesting because he's the first person to ever ask him if he the question, like, does he want to even
Sam
do
is
this?
like, my dad's a mechanic. I have to be a mechanic.
Yeah, he hunts cars to fix.
Yeah, sorry. My story's about a Pontiac werewolf.
I kept waiting for like the teacher to be like, wait, hold on. You travel like every month to a new school because your dad's a traveling mechanic?
Well, cars travel. So
Yeah, that's
I
that.
think, I think best case scenario, Mr. Wyatt thinks that John is like a drug dealer.
Or just a drunk, which is also true.
Yeah, or just a drunk.
Yeah.
Who wears out his welcome in town and then has to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that is John Winchester.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I guess I just sort of completely described John Winchester. Uh-oh.
But he even asks, he's like, do you want to go into the family business? And Sam goes like, honestly, more than anything, no.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because like, it's all Dean wants to do.
Yeah.
So sad.
The 8th grade Sam wrote a paper about his family killing the werewolf in the previous summer. Dean told the same story to Gordon in season 2's Supernatural Bloodlust.
Oh,
so
right. Yeah,
that's a story that has come up on the show before.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah. So Sam returns to school in the modern day to try to speak with Mr. Wyatt again because he's just like, this guy ruled. Like,
Yeah, he's like, I
I
want to thank him. He was a cool teacher. Yeah.
And Sam tells Dean that he wants to do that, and Dean says, "Yeah, whatever. Go have your Robin Williams, oh Captain, my Captain moment." He's quoting from Williams's Dead Poets Society from 1989.
This is the
great
thing.
movie.
This is the thing I love about Dean is that his references aren't only like Star Wars and Die Hard and like those types of
Yeah.
movies. It's like he's also just watching Dead. Like,
He literally
he's watching Dead
in this-
Poets Society.
in this episode, he makes a Heather's reference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he makes
Incredible.
a Heather's reference. It would be funny, like to hear like in the conversations we don't see, what other movies is he
Like Waiting
referencing?
for Godot, like
Yeah,
Listen, well, I think that goes with like his whole, bravado on the outside. Like he's just
Yeah.
a big mush on the inside. He's
Totally.
such a softie, and he
It's
I
true.
think he really feels his feelings through media, like the media
Yeah.
that he consumes.
definitely.
Totally.
It's a thing that the show gets better and better at communicating to as we go on.
I think that's true. Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
But as Sam is trying to go to Mr. Wyatt's office, a student walks up to him and is just like, "Hey, like, how do you get to this classroom?" And he's like, "Well, they specifically go, hey, Sam, how do you get to this classroom?" And he answers, and then they go, "Thanks, Sam. Thanks for being Sam, Sam." And
And then stab him with like a pen or
yeah,
something.
right in the chest.
It's pretty messed up.
But then even weirder is then he then fills the student's mouth with salt, which like the ghost is then forced out of the body. But then what happens?
he's just
Like,
left holding a student with a mouthful
Yeah.
of salt.
I kept expecting like Mr. Wyatt to come up and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I think I was misremembering this episode. I was like, someone must see this.
Yeah. What are you
Right?
doing?
He's literally like horrible situation to be caught in. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you explain that? You don't. You
I
go to
was
jail. That's what
purifying them. Like,
I had to get the ghost out.
yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
they're filled with
It's-
ectoplasm.
Oh.
So
We haven't talked about I think it happened already,
yeah.
but at one point, this is one of the problematic elements, but I want to touch on it because I don't want it to just come up at the end where I talk about the things that bother me in this episode.
Sure.
At one point, when Sam is still pretending to be a janitor and stuff, I think just a bit before this, Dean comes up to him and says, it's when they find out about the violent deaths in the school.
Yeah.
Dean is like, "Hey, did you know 3 of the cheerleaders are legal?"
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that even. I totally skipped over
Jesus
that.
Christ. Good Lord.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. It's a dirtbag Dean moment if I've
It's
ever heard
bad
it.
because
Yeah,
he's by season 4, he's supposed to be like 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yes, because Sam is
Yeah.
22 in season 1, and Dean is 4 years older than him.
Oh,
In
It's true.
season 4, Dean is 30, and he's like, "Hey, a couple of fuckable 18-year-olds here that I can
Oh.
abuse my authority with."
Oh God.
It's pretty fucked up.
It's
Yep.
not good.
Don't love that. Anyways,
And Sam has to be like, Dean.
He's like, no.
it's my bro.
It's-
Stand by him.
Ugh.
I'm gonna just say, like, maybe he's like reverting to his like high school self. That's like not an excuse,
Sure.
but you know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Let's,
It was garbage.
But there
it was gross.
wasn't there also the fucking thing in the Halloween in the Samhain episode?
Oh yeah.
And Sam's like, "Dude, jailbait," or whatever.
And it's like, you know what
Yep.
that means? Yeah.
it's more than anything.
Also,
It's
thank
just,
you for pronouncing that correctly instead of Zambini.
I didn't.
That makes me so. Anyway.
I actually did. I was doing it wrong, and then he corrected me partway through the episode. But yeah,
But yeah, Dean realizes that all the possessed students, April Dawkins, Aaron Branson, and Jennifer Tanaka, who he refers to as Martha Dump Truck, Revenge of the Nerds, and Hello Kitty, respectively, ride the same school bus.
it's gonna be a little bit racist that he just calls the Asian student Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Martha Dump Truck is a reference that, as
The Heather's
Laura pointed out,
reference,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the Heather reference from the movie in
He
1988.
could have made a Donnie Darko reference. What was that girl's name?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I can't remember.
That's a good call, though.
Sam reminds Dean of the lore in which spirits are bound to the place they're shackled to, but can possess people and return to their usual haunt upon leaving.
Yeah, Sam describes it as like, wait, if they all take the same bus, then maybe the ghost is in the bus.
Yeah.
And it rides the students out and into the school, and then it would get like bungeed back to the bus.
Yeah.
When it's kicked
Exactly.
out or whatever.
So they go and check the bus, which is spiking high in EMF.
Yes.
Dean opens the glove compartment and finds a driver's license for Dirk McGregor's father, who got his bus driver's license 2 weeks ago, just before the attacks began.
Yeah.
We see a flashback of young Sam defending Barry against Dirk again. Young Sam beats up Dirk and creates a chant, "Dirk the jerk."
Oh, yeah. Sam humiliates this
Yeah,
kid.
he beats
Yeah.
the shit of him in a way that like I know that he knows how to fight, but like
It's kind of like, it made me think of like the bare knuckle boxing in like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes. He's like uppercuts him and shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my
I would
God.
like to point out kind of the impetus for this though.
please.
The exact word he uses is freak. He calls Sam a freak. And we
Yeah.
all know that that is like a huge like trigger word for him. Like even back then, like he always felt
Yeah.
different. He always felt, and then just paralleling that to like the timeline he's in now, right? He's clearly feeling like a freak. And I liked that tie in. And that was what made me snap.
Totally.
Yeah, that
It's-
totally
it's
makes
one of
sense. It's
those
his
things where
Marty
he's like-
McFly's chicken.
Yeah. And he's doing like the dodging, and he's like all of the thing that Dean had brought up earlier, which is like, why would you let him hit you? You could kick his ass
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does. And then he says, you're just a jerk, Dirk the jerk. And then this voice you only hear off camera, you never see someone just goes, Dirk the jerk, that's pretty good. And then everyone just starts going, Dirk the jerk.
Yeah.
But it was that reading of that line made me laugh so hard. It was just like, because it's clearly ADR. It's just someone going like, Dirk the jerk, that's pretty good.
That's like a line reading when someone tries to like get their own idea picked up by a crowd, and
Yes.
they're like, I think we should start saying this.
Do you know what it
Me
also made me
too."
think of? It's another classic line reading that makes me laugh every time. Is in The Dark Knight, in that Batman movie.
Uh-huh.
There's a bit where Harvey Dent's doing a press conference, and just off screen you hear one guy go, "Things are worse than ever." It's like one of my favorite line readings in any movie.
That is
That's
really
what it
funny.
made me think of. I was laughing quite a bit.
Um,
But at any rate, this Dirk the jerk thing chant kicks off, and Sam's like, "Yeah, I fucking did it."
yes.
He's all proud of himself.
So at a San Diego Comic-Con in 2015, when asked if the Winchester brothers would defeat their new enemy in that current season, Jared Padalecki replied, "Yeah, because we're not the Losechesters." And in this episode, the bully who terrorizes Sam and his friend Barry taunts Sam by saying, "Come on, Losechester." Yeah, which is a cute connection.
Interesting.
In a discussion with Dirk's father, as Sam and Dean head over there, it turns out, this is rough. It turns out
Yeah.
by his freshman year, Dirk had just watched his mother die of cancer.
And he was the one like taking care of her because the dad was working all the time. So like,
Yeah,
Heartbreaking.
yeah, it's rough. He later turned to drugs and alcohol and was dead himself before he even graduated.
and then the dad is like, yeah, people were rough on him in high school. They always called him Dirk the jerk.
and
and Sam's just
And
like,
Sam's face.
uh.
Oh God. Yeah.
it's really interesting, right? Because this whole episode is just like, yeah, fuck this bully.
the only change I would have made to this scene is that when the dad said that, somebody outside the window went, Dirk the jerk, that's pretty good.
That's really funny. People start gathering around the house. Dirk the jerk.
Oh no.
It is a very like heartbreaking scene.
It
It's
is.
really
Yeah.
sad.
It is very sad. Dirk's father laments about all of that. And
This is the bit that I was alluding to where Dean is like very not good at suddenly asking
yes.
questions. They're like, could we go like we'd love to go like visit,
yeah.
wherever
Yeah.
Dirk is, and the dad's like, oh, I didn't. He's not buried. I cremated him. And Dean goes,
And Dean's
all of him.
Yeah. He like stopped short of being like, oh man.
Yeah, he's like all of him, and the dad's like, well, I kept a lock of his hair. Dean's like, oh, that's nice. Where do you keep that?
Which is such a
Jesus Christ.
asking for a friend.
It's so bad. It's like, come on, man. We've been doing this for so long. You got to be better at it than this.
Yeah, but we find out that he keeps it. He keeps the lock of hair in a Bible that he has on the bus.
Yeah.
So that night, Sam and Dean chase down the bus.
Yeah, the
which-
bus is going like on a night trip with
Well,
a
they're
bunch
coming
of
back from a
students.
game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're driving back from like a football game or something.
Oh, okay.
Like that. So, and it's an away game, and the like driver clearly possessed.
Who is this actor?
I don't know.
Because the guy playing the driver, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. He's like one of those. I'm going to look him up while you keep going.
Yeah,
'cause it was bugging
There
me,
you
and
go.
I didn't do it before the episode. So.
but he just
But
starts
he
speeding.
wasn't in in the episode previously, right? This is the first time we see him.
Yeah,
right?
this is just
Because
a
they're
whole
like, thanks
new
for
guy.
filling in, and I was like, wait, are we supposed to remember this guy? But no,
No.
guess not.
He's a totally new guy.
I think he's just one of those actors that like shows up in he's like
Totally.
a career like day player guy, and you're just like, oh fuck him, you know.
And they just keep driving faster and faster, and the coach is just like, what the hell's going on? Like, let's slow down. But they hit a set of road spikes and blow out the tires, and the bus stops. We find out that Dirk is definitely possessing this bus driver, and Dean binds him with a thing that I had never seen before, which is saltwater dipped rope.
Genius.
Oh,
It's a thing we've never seen on the show
That's
before,
right,
and I
yes.
don't think we've ever seen it again.
Or since.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh, I know where I know him from. He's like the fishing boat captain in Man of Steel.
Of course, that's the thing the movie you've seen so many times. Of course,
So maybe he's not quite as ubiquitous as I think he is.
yeah, I see him like in everything at least once a month when I watch that one movie,
He was, yeah. He is like a career kind of day player,
but
guy,
not like in things that you'd really see.
not as much as I wanted him to be.
So, but yeah, so they then search the bus for the lock of hair, but fail. Dean makes a reference to the TV show 21 Jump Street.
Oh yeah, I love that the coach and the students are just like very calmly sitting inside
Yeah,
while
it's-
someone has tied up their bus driver outside.
And I love that somebody's just like, wait, aren't you the gym coach?
Yeah, and that's when
Like-
he's like, it's a 21 Jump Street kind of thing or whatever.
But you're right, they're just so chill about it. They're like, okay.
And they said the bus driver sold pot, which is why that's why they put in
Why
road
in
spikes.
the middle of the night we put out road spikes and we tied him up.
Yeah.
We're holding a shotgun on him. We're gonna execute
That's
him
legit.
for pot.
Mm.
Oh, good Lord. Sam then tries to reason with Dirk, but fails. Dirk then breaks free, forcing Sam to shoot him with rock salt, forcing Dirk to possess a student and leave the bus driver, and
Yeah.
proceeds to then attack Sam. At his brother's urging, Dean continues to search for the lock before finding it in the driver's left boot.
Yeah.
The lock of hair is burned, and the ghost is destroyed before he can do any serious harm. Dean's quote when the body of Dirk was possessing, like, it's very funny. So, like, basically, as the ghost leaves him, the guy that he was possessing then falls on Sam, and he says he's giving you the full cowgirl, which tying back to the opening
Dean.
scene where the students were
Yeah.
slut shaming her.
Yeah, this is the other thing. They're like, in addition to the general slut shaming, they're like, she did reverse cowgirl. Like, it's worse.
Yeah, like
Like,
she was creative with her sex life. How dare
man,
she?
High school, Jesus. What a nightmare landscape out there.
Yep.
After the boys return to the high school, so Sam can finally say goodbye to Mr. Wyatt.
Yeah.
Their first farewell was a mixed experience. The whole school is congratulating Sam for talking down Dirk and his bullying, while Amanda heckling after finding out that Dean was making out with another girl in the broom closet.
Yeah, she catches him and Dean's like, Gettysburg Address, 1863. like we're studying.
The part that we're skipping over that I thought was so funny and very weird was when the door is knocked on, he's just like, yeah, Barry, give me 5 more minutes. As if he's got like a deal with the janitor.
The janitor's like, yeah, fuck away.
Hey, you two crazy
There's
kids.
a bunch of fucking bleach in there, so don't worry about dirtying up the place.
Oh my god.
You two crazy kids can do whatever you want inside old Barry's garage.
People think that English teacher's cool, but who's the one letting the kids fuck?
Yeah, Jimmy the janitor.
Jimmy Janitor, right here.
We got a special knock and even a password and everything. I'm really a cool guy.
Man.
But also, hang on. What would be this? Let's imagine that this is the setup. What is the scenario where someone other than the janitor has to get into the closet, but the janitor is there to give a secret knock?
I mean, maybe the
Who
janitor's
knocks
into
at
that.
the janitor's closet?
You know?
And yeah, if you need the janitor's closet, who knocks? There's a lot that's very funny about that.
That's really funny. But Amanda basically just says she's not even mad.
Good
She's
for
just-
Amanda for having like any degree of self-respect at all. Because even
Yes.
even when she finds out he like lives in a motel and nobody cares about him, she's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's like
She does have a bit of agency, which is nice. Like she's definitely
Yes.
not just like the
in an episode full of kind of bad
trope.
Misogyny.
tropes.
Yeah.
She like as a character who doesn't show up that much is like she makes decisions and looks out for herself and makes the right call, and it's
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah, it almost makes you, because like you said, you don't see that in early Supernatural. Rewatching this one, I was like, oh, a woman speaking up for herself.
Yeah.
This isn't something
Yeah,
we see
she-
a lot in the early
She's not
seasons.
like begging Dean to take her back or
No,
like
yeah.
some stupid
it
No,
is
I
that,
really
yeah.
liked her speech. I thought it was well done.
And she's basically just like, I feel bad for you. And then that like sets Dean off because he's like, you feel bad for me. Like, do you have any idea how many
I'm
knives
a
I have?
hero.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he literally did the I'm a hero. I'm a hero.
He's got a real like Danny Zuko vibe.
Yes.
Literally.
Hey, Sandy.
Summer hunting, having a blast.
I mean, I
Oh my
can't.
God.
That must be on the internet somewhere. Someone has done that. Someone has done the supernatural.
You're
summer
giving me
love and
TikTok
parody.
ideas.
Right?
There
Oh, we've got a platform.
That's right. Yeah, you're just gonna start getting like messages from me. That's like, what about this?
Yeah. What if supernatural this? oh, summer fights. I got it. We're halfway there.
Oh, hello, hell.
Oh yeah. Tell me,
You laugh,
Lord.
but this
Tell
is
me,
literally
Lord.
how I come up with lyrics.
Oh my God, we busted this thing wide open. You just sold a pitch in the room.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it is a very sad moment because because she has so much agency in this moment,
Yeah.
it really deflates Dean's everything about him, especially Dean at that point in his life,
Yeah.
who's like, chicks are good for hooking up. That's about it. See ya, town. Like it really like deflates Dean, and so Sam is kind of like, I did it. I protected someone. Yeah, and then when they find out they have to leave, he's like, fuck, damn it.
Yeah.
And Dean is like, good, let's get the fuck out of here. This town sucks. This school sucks. It has nothing to do with me or anything about me.
It's very interesting. So, and we see that the Impala pulls up in front of the school.
Yeah.
John Winchester is mentioned often in this episode, but never actually shown.
Right.
In the last flashback scene, it even appears that Brock Kelly, as 18-year-old Dean, is driving the vehicle rather than Dad.
Right.
The car was driven up to the school by an unseen driver. Then Dean appears to get in the front passenger side. So it seems possible that Dean could have driven the car away. But I also think it's highly unlikely that John would have moved over so that Dein could drive.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's just weird.
Just a weird sort of thing. But
I, for one, am glad we didn't see John Winchester's face.
I love that John. Hey, we have a long-standing theory that John Winchester is like ultra far right.
Yeah, our version of John, as we like improv about him, is like he was at January 6th.
Yeah.
Listen, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised.
100%.
Yeah.
We then go to the present and with Mr. Wyatt, who remembers Sam fondly and asks about what he's done with himself, which is kind of a sad moment because he's just like, "Hey, I remember you. You didn't get into the family business, right?" And he's like, "Well, I did for a while."
It is sad because it's nice in a way where he's like, you inspired me to go to college.
Yeah.
That meant a lot to me. You're really inspirational, but also I fell into the trap we all fall into because we're stuck and life is hell.
And he's like, "Hey, but at least you're happy, right?"
And he's like,
Oh,
And he does
was a
not respond.
dagger to the heart. Gosh.
Ugh.
it's
Which even worse.
yeah. I don't know how Sam thought this conversation was going to go.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah.
Hey, thank you. No follow-ups.
Yeah. I just want to say that you were great. Bye. Bye. See you. Bye.
Smoke bomb.
Yeah. To continue the sad train, this episode is dedicated to the memory of Christopher F. Lima, rigging electrician for the show, and Tim Look, which is the online editor for the show. I did a little bit of research. They died during the filming of this episode, but not like on set.
Not
or
like
anything.
from
Yeah.
filming the
But like
episode,
in the process of making this episode,
Oh,
both those
jeez.
people died, which is a rough because I mean they also lost Kim this season too.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
they lost a lot of like people already in the show.
Yeah, that's tough.
But that is the end of this episode.
Yeah, I mean, for an episode that kind of starts with like, we're going back to high school, Dean's in shorts, and then it ends with like, and all my dreams came crashing down and I'm not happy.
Yeah, and suicide and drug abuse
And everything I thought I did, even the good things, ended in misery. Like,
I feel like we mentioned in the beginning, though, you know, you bring up high school equals trauma, right?
Sure,
So
yeah.
we knew where it was going to end.
Yeah, never
Yes.
trust anybody who's like, I loved high school.
Yes, agreed.
They're freaks.
yeah, yeah.
So, let's talk about our reviews. Laura, you've been on the show before, but just to surmise, if you could give us a summary of your thoughts on this episode and then some sort of ranking out of 5.
Sure. So the thing I loved most about this episode is seeing Sam and Dean as teenagers. As I said before, it's the first time we see them as teenagers, and the actors just nailed it, truly. Given some, you know, questionably Danny Zuko moments from Brock Kelly.
Sandy.
Other than that, no, I think they crushed it, and the characterization was great. It gave you a lot more insight into why they are the way they are. Also, I loved the John hate. I will always love the John hate. It was really well done. I thought the transitions were cool. We didn't really talk about, there was like one transition where Sam's walking down the hallway as a kid. He runs his hand through his hair and then he does it as an adult. Like,
Yeah.
That's
there
a
were
good
a
shot.
lot of those moments.
Yeah.
I just appreciated those. And overall, I really enjoyed the episode. But because of Dean's misogynistic, sexist moments,
Totally.
I'm going to have to give it like a 3.5 out
Yeah.
of 5.
Yeah, totally. That's totally fair. Absolutely.
I think that's fair.
Reed, what do you think?
Okay. I love a supernatural episode that lures you into thinking it's like fun and then like gut punches you by the end. This episode totally qualifies. I like episodes too where they examine that things aren't as like black and white as they want them to be. You know, like that's what I like about, you know, with the roadkill episode with the ghosts when they're like, hey, what happens to ghosts when we get rid of them? And they're like,
Don't worry about it.
you know, or every time they're like, wait a minute, like, are
We the bad
are we the
people?
bad guy?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like
Yeah.
every time that comes up, I enjoy that. I like the gray areas. So the idea of like they go to this thing and they think that there's this traumatized ghost and they're like, well, it's obviously like the bullied kid who killed himself. And then it turns out that it was the bully because the
Yeah.
bully was himself had this like internal trauma and struggle no one else knew about. And Sam is the one who was like, I thought I was being great. But he, instead of just protecting Barry, he has to take it the next step. He has to humiliate. He has got to like, like I like that the episode is like undermining those things or like, yeah, Dean, he's got it all together. And then it's like, no, like no one cares about you. And it's like, I like an episode that kind of like pulls the rug out from under them in some way. So in that way, this episode does a lot of things right. It doesn't need to have the like 3 cheerleaders are 18,
Yeah.
like that kind
Yeah.
of shit, which like ruins the fun joke of Coach Dean. Coach
Yeah.
Dean is like,
yeah.
like Dean is like weird as an authority figure and also funny with kids.
Yeah.
And then when you
Yeah.
put that in there, you're like, oh, he's predatory. It's like, well, that's not fun anymore. That's really gross and bad. You know, and I don't love, I don't love that stuff. It's obviously very in character for high school Dean to be even more of that dirtbag thing, but we've moved so far past it with our Dean that I don't love that bit. Yeah, there's some stuff that I think is, I don't know, just doesn't work as well for me. Like Dirk the Jerk, that's really good. Part of the reason I find that funny is they were like, we need Dirk the Jerk to like really catch on at
It's
this
gotta
school.
pop.
We got to sell Dirk the Jerk as if it's like a thing that
Oh my God.
like there. I don't know. I think there's things that don't fully work for me. I almost wish that the cool teacher was a bigger part of it.
Yeah.
I don't, in some way, because it feels like he's kind of there, and they don't do too much with him. Like, there's something I wanted more in there. I like it in general. It's got problems I don't like. I'm gonna give it maybe 3.75. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm on the same page as both of you. I think that the things that were stand out for me was the performances from Brock, like both the young Sam and young Dean were really, really good with this. I love that actor. I think like they nailed it, and it's totally believable that it's those two characters for sure.
Definitely.
I think the premise of this is really interesting, with it being the bully kid is actually the one which is the reality most of the time. It's just like they've got the darker sort of past. And
they're dealing with
out.
something, and the way they are lashing out is the bullying.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like whether they're trying to look cool or something, they're trying to get attention because they're like going through something dark at home and they're lashing out. And I think that's an interesting thing. I think they lost a thread for me a bit with the dad of Dirk, because I thought he'd be more involved, because it was like, 2 weeks ago he got his driver's license. Like, it felt like it was setting something up.
It was like, it was only like that detail is only there to make you think that it's the dad.
Yeah.
But then they immediately undo that because the dad just tells them everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't even give it an opportunity for them to suspect maybe the dad or something, which in any other like horror thing, if you would have found out that it was the dad like defending his kid after all this time or something.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of it. I like it being the unsuspected like bully kid is the one who's actually going through more trauma and stuff like that. They don't do a really good job of like playing that kid's trauma and pain in the people that he like goes inside of, because he's going after still like the popular people, and it doesn't feel like it's
there's not, you don't get like, it
doesn't feel like the equivalent of Sam that he's going after, which should really be the person that he's going after. He's actually not even that pointed at Sam in the episode, which is the person that put him through all of his trauma in the first place, like besides his obviously his mother dying and stuff. But
that's a good point too.
There's a few like missed opportunities with that, but I do like the John hate. Like, I like the realizing the like that their lives are not as great as they want them to be, and that this one experience helped change them in a way that they like realize that, Sam finally realizes that he has more available to him, and that probably sets him up for the rest of his life to go like, I could just do more if I wanted more, right?
Yeah. That was the first moment that he like had that thought that he could go to school and
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I really liked that. I think that Dean's realization actually doesn't do anything, because we realize that like only until like season 2 does he even start questioning his father. So that doesn't really connect with him, which is sort of well played, I think, in this. But I liked the Amanda, that character. They do a really good job with her, like giving her some agency and like
But it also, I mean, not that it works in the structure of the episode, but that also makes me want her in the episode more. Where it's like, no, like something interesting is happening here. How come we're not seeing more of whatever's happening here?
Yeah, they don't make her like manic pixie dream girl,
because even Barry is barely part. You know what I mean? Other than setting up that the bully was picking on someone. You know, we get that lingering shot at the end of like young Sam leaving. He looks up at the window and Barry's looking out, and it's like, but why are we holding on that shot?
Yeah,
Barry's barely part of this episode.
Yeah,
like he's not like, and that friendship is really not.
They don't really
like
set
Sam
it
was
up.
sad about it, but that's because he thought the ghost was this kid he didn't protect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's maybe too many threads.
I also do like that they casted a 1950s nerd to play Barry. He's like got the thick Coke bottle, like black rimmed glasses. He's got like a white shirt that's like tucked in. I think maybe even his sleeves are rolled up. Like
even Sam though, Sam's shirt is tucked in.
Yeah, it's very, very funny. But I think I'm on the same page. I'm gonna give this like 3.5, just tight enough red shorts. I think that's that's definitely where I'm at with this episode. It's a great in concept, and like remembering it, I'm like, oh yeah, this episode, and then getting into it, I was like, oh yeah, this episode. Absolutely. So Laura, thank you again for coming on the show. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you online and keep the Supernatural chat going?
Of course. And thank you so much again for having me. I love chatting with you guys about my favorite show. You can find me on TikTok at Laura Leviosa. Leviosa like Harry Potter. Leviosa, not Leviosa. And on Instagram at Laura Bolt. Bolt, like lightning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, grease lightning.
Oh, no.
I was trying to find a grease lightning, like, supernatural thing for like a good 5 minutes while you guys were talking. I was like, there's got to be something grease. I'm like, what rhymes demon? No, come on.
There's something with the car there. There's something.
Oh, yeah.
We'll workshop it.
Yeah, we'll figure this out.
You're the one that I hunt.
Oh! God. We're gonna make this.
really hate that.
Let's continue the chat on our Discord, which we have.
Yeah, if you sign up at patreon.com/ghostfacers, it's only $1 and you could join Angel Radio. It's our little Discord server. We chat Supernatural and its spin-offs, and then the spin-offs or the all the weird, like the 1800s Walker prequel and stuff that's happening.
Everyone's so excited for that.
All sorts of weird stuff, but it's like, come and chat with us and hang out and help support us.
Absolutely. That is it for this week. If you have a note about a future episode, or you just want to talk to us outside of that Discord, you can send us an email.
Yeah, ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
Or reach out to us through our various social media platforms that we're on, because we're super cool and young.
We are at GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can get our episode automatically in your feed every week. Please give us a 5-star review while you're on those. And if it's not Apple Podcasts, just take a photo and send it to us. We've got some merch at ghostfacerspodcaststore.com, and we have a whole other podcast about comic books.
Yeah, Dr. DC Podcast. If you like how we talk about lore and stuff over here, you might enjoy that. It's about superheroes and how their powers work and just being silly like we are here. We're not talented enough to have a different persona.
All right. Please say goodbye, Laura.
Goodbye, Laura.
Thank you again for joining us.
Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.